if you want to talk about adversity, you want to talk about perseverance, you want to talk about going all in, that's what we're talking about today on the podcast. Jake Thieneman is joining the show. He's a former Division I football player from Purdue who is now a business owner who's helping high-level performers get their fitness back and get themselves back on track where they want to be in their lives when it comes to their fitness, both physical and mental. He's helping them out because he knows what it takes to get to that next level. This guy was a walk-on in football at the collegiate level. He went through multiple surgeries, which we touch base on in today's podcast. He had setback after setback after setback after setback, but it was one thing about his mentality and his effort that he put in and continued to believe in himself that got him to that next level where he eventually became a scholarship athlete. And then he even made it to the professional level at the NFL for a short period, which he'll also talk about. Such a cool story to hear today. It's a really inspiring one because it's very similar to a story that many of us go through. The transition out of sports into the real world and the struggles that you go through as a former athlete in that sense. So what I would encourage you guys to do is, one, check the links in the description. Always check the description of this podcast because I want you to follow Jake and make sure that you know where his pages are. Make sure you know exactly where to find him because when you listen to his story, you're going to want to contact him. So get ready. This is the Gametime Guru. So,
what time is it? Game time!
This is the Gametime Guru podcast, where I interview sports figures from all over the world to help deliver a panoramic view on sports. So whether you're a former athlete, one of the crazies, or simply a casual sports fan, this is the perfect show for you as we peel back the curtains and learn from our guests every single week. I'm your host, Shane Larson, and I'm helping you see sports through a different lens. What's up, everybody? Welcome out to another episode of the Gametime Guru podcast. Shane Larson here, host of the show. We're almost 9 years into this podcast, running it since January of 2017. So I want to say thank you to all the listeners who are tuning in for the first time and those who have tuned in from the very beginning. And some of y'all have kind of met me along the way. I just appreciate you guys tuning in. The show has been downloaded on the audio side in 183 countries, all 50 states, and we're still very, very new to the video side. So if you guys wouldn't mind, give me a follow over on YouTube. Let's try to build that platform out so you guys can put faces to names and see our guests instead of just hearing our guests like I've been doing for the last, almost decade now. It's crazy. So as you guys heard in the intro, we're gonna learn the football side of him, but he's also a business owner and he's doing a lot of big things now, and he's got a really, really unique story. His name is Jake Thieneman, and he is the co-founder of All In Performance. Jake, thanks for joining the show, man.
Hey, appreciate you having me on, man. Excited about it.
Heck yeah. So Jake, I want to go back in time a little bit to kind of explain how we got to where we're at right now in your career and what you're doing with All In Performance and kind of who you cater to. But let's talk about Jake as the athlete, right? The football player. Mm-hmm. And I want to go, if you go to your Instagram page, it talks how you're, walk onto the NFL, but there's a story behind it, I'm sure. So like going back into the olden days, when did you start playing the game of football? Like when did you know that football was going to be kind of like your main focus to go to the next level?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started playing football in third grade, and growing up, we did like absolutely every sport, both like traditional, like ball sports, football, basketball, baseball, but also like extreme sports. So we grew up like snow skiing, dirt biking, rollerblading, skateboarding, wakeboarding, like all the stuff. Like if it had wheels, we took it off a jump, and if it didn't, we pulled it behind a four-wheeler. So grew up doing all the things. And then once you got into high school, that's when things started to narrow down. Funny enough, I actually kind of wanted to play college basketball first, freshman year, but I was way better at football, and I'm only 6 foot. So basketball was just not as much in the cards for me. So I was better at football. So decided to narrow in and focus on that and kind of go all in on just football.
So did you play multiple sports through high school, like basketball and everything then too at that time before you had narrowed it down?
I played basketball my freshman, sophomore year, just JV, so nothing crazy there. But then, after sophomore year, decided to just focus on football.
Oh, that's funny, man. That's it's interesting because I was the exact opposite, and I should have focused more on football instead of basketball. I'm 6'2", and I was better at football than I was at basketball. I consider myself a decent athlete at the time, but I should have gone the other route. So it's funny to hear that. I guess Jake, growing up, doing all the outdoors things, playing football at a young age and competing in sports, what would you say from like playing multiple sports growing up before you kind of focused in on football? What were some of the benefits of playing multiple sports growing up?
You just get like a general like base skill set, base athleticism that kind of transfers over from like sport to sport. So that always helps. Like growing up in football, like everyone you generally kind of like move around positions. So like I've played pretty much every skill position growing up, and so that gives you like a good base athleticism. And then going between like individual sports versus team sports, like team sports obviously like develop a lot of those like social skills that are super important, like leadership, communication, problem solving, all of that stuff. So, it's kind of good to get a range of experiences, get a combination when you're younger, and then you just kind of fall into what are you best at, what do you want to take further, what feels the most natural, and so you're not really like at the end of the day, you got to put in the work for anything, but it's like when work feels like play because you're literally playing a game. Like it's pretty easy to put in the work.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, that's good, man. So I guess another part of your story, like the big piece, right? You're a walk on, but I want to talk about how you got to that point, and why you chose Purdue, right? Like I want to kind of explain, like understand how you got to Purdue, how that all worked out. So talk to me about the recruiting process. Did you try to get recruited out of high school? Were you attempting to try to do that once you decided, hey, I want to try to go next level with this? What was that like for you? And when did you make that decision to be a walk on?
100%. Yeah. So definitely try to get recruited. No, I don't think anyone wants to be a walk on, but it just shakes out like that sometimes. But I was, I'm the oldest in my family too. So we were just, the process was new. Weren't really like super aware of it, just kind of learn on the fly. So I went to a smaller high school outside of Indianapolis, like a small Catholic school, which in hindsight, that definitely doesn't help with getting recruited and getting attention like some of like the bigger schools that have just every, college around the Midwest kind of coming through every year. So that definitely didn't help going to a smaller school. Then was trying all the things, right? I was going to the camps, played 7-on-7. We were, one of the best teams in the state, if not the best team in the state. Just trying to get noticed, but wasn't able to really like break through and really like, get noticed in the right ways. Purdue was my dream school from the start. My dad went there, and so we grew up as Purdue fans. And I knew really early I wanted to like study engineering, and Purdue's great for that. So it's just like the perfect mix of Purdue being my dream school, but going to the camps, talking to coaches, just wasn't able to really get noticed. I was getting some attention from smaller schools, some FCS schools, some D2 schools. I was trying to go to some Ivy League schools, and so I was getting some attention there. And really heading into my senior year was getting recruited pretty heavily by a handful of those schools. And then like right before the season, right before fall camp, we're doing max outs. In hindsight, very dumb. Right before fall camp, and I broke my left wrist, power cleaning.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah. So just like the worst timing ever, because at that point when you're getting recruited, they want to see the film from the first 3 games of the season. And I missed the first 3 games of the season. And so that kind of just any what small recruiting opportunities I did have just completely evaporated at that point. And so I played, I missed first 3 games, played the rest of the season with a playing cast on my arm, and ended up, still having a really great year. Still proud of what I put on tape, but not enough to, move the needle with any of those schools. So it came down to I had some walk-on opportunities at a couple of FCS schools, and then very late in the game, I got an opportunity to walk on at Purdue, which they originally told me no. Originally, the staff said, "Hey, we don't have a walk-on spot. We don't think you're good enough. There's going to be a recurring theme there." And then, lo and behold, they had a change on the coaching staff where they got a new defensive backs coach, and the new defensive backs coach, which got hired in like April. So like you graduate in May, guys report in June. This is April. The guy gets hired. He knew my 7-on-7 coach that I worked with.
Oh,
And
wow.
so I got like, they told me no, and then I got like the back door, and they were like, all right, you can come when school starts, which schools, like when it's changed now, but back in the day, like you had 105 roster spots for camp. And so that was your 85 scholarship guys plus your 20 walk-ons. But when school started, you could expand the roster. So they said I could come when school started. So I technically wasn't like a preferred walk-on. They just, created an extra spot at the end of the bench for me. And so, like when I was in college, like I was quite literally the last man on the roster when I joined the team.
Wow, dude. No, let's unpack that a little bit too, because first off, broke your wrist doing power cleans. Was it just getting under it with the bar? Like how, like, was it just flipping it under, or what happened to break your wrist? I gotta
Literally,
know that.
yeah, literally. So I just like didn't fully get the elbows like all the way underneath, and just kind of landed like this and just cocked it back and just snapped it.
How much were
it was
you throwing up there?
It was 265 at the time.
Dang, dude.
Because I hit 255 super clean. Like it was nothing. And then just very unlucky with
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's a freak accident, man. That's actually a
fair.
fair
Dude, that's just the start. My injury history is extensive. So that's just the start.
Oh, that's brutal, man. Well, it seems like the stars kind of aligned, right? In a sense, like to get you over to Purdue, like it got you into the walk-on spot, like how the coaching change happened. I would like to understand your mentality when it was going through the recruiting process. You go through the injury, it kind of wipes away some of the things. Obviously, it worked out the way that it was supposed to, but in the middle of that, I'm sure there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of stress. What kind of advice would you give to any athlete that's going through that right now, trying to figure out their recruiting process, trying to figure out where they're going to go? Maybe they suffer an injury. That happens. They get a setback right at the wrong timing, and they're trying to figure out what's next steps. What advice would you give them as they're trying to navigate that?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I've gotten asked this a lot too, of like, do I go to a smaller school where it's, maybe a better opportunity and all that, or do I walk on and take a shot at, a bigger school, maybe a Division I school? That was my dilemma that I was in. And ultimately, like what it came down to was I had two schools that wanted me. One was an FCS school. One was a non-scholarship FCS, which is, it's basically D3. So it was like, or I could go walk on at a Big Ten school, which that was my dream, was go play at Purdue, go play in the Big Ten, which I also felt like I was good enough because I went to all the camps, all the 7-on-7 tournaments. So I was playing against all the guys going. Like I knew who they were. I went against them and I was like, I can hang. Like I can definitely play with these guys. So what the way I looked at it was like, how am I gonna look back on this experience? I felt that if I went to one of the smaller schools, even if I had an insane career, 4-year All-American, right? Unbelievable career, I was always going to ask that question in the back of my mind, what if? What if, what would have happened if I took a shot? So there was like, even like the best possible scenario there was going to be some sort of like regret and doubt in the back of my mind. And so, I don't like to live like that. And so I, just operate with a regret minimization kind of mindset. So, I knew that if I took the shot and I gave it everything I had, just unloaded the clip, went all in, recurring theme there, then I would be able to sleep at night, even if I didn't make it, even if I, didn't make it, because I took the shot and I gave myself a chance. And so that was kind of the mindset I had going into that. And so like to other athletes, I would say like, just like run through that for yourself. Like, what do you really want? Some people are perfectly fine with going to a smaller school and balling there and having that experience. And that's totally cool too, because walking on is not for everyone. Like it is a grind and it is a struggle. And most guys quit after the first year. So like, I totally get that. So just kind of decide what experience you want for yourself. Self-awareness is huge, know thyself. So like know what kind of person you are. But I'm all for taking big chances and going for it. So that's what I did.
No, I respect that. I think that's awesome. I like the last piece you said there though too. Self-awareness. It goes a long way. So like if you're good enough and you're good enough, which you had already put the time in, it's not thinking you're good enough. You're good enough because you've put yourself up against other people in 7-on-7s and camps and so forth. I would say like, just be cautious of that. If you're an athlete that hasn't done those things and you don't actually know that, be self-aware of the situation. But if you think you're good enough, you're good enough, just know what you want, and decide what you want. I like that. And it's obvious it worked out for you, but I do want to know, when you got onto the walk-on spot, you get over to Purdue, you're over there, like you said, literally last man on the roster, essentially, right? What was the transition like going from, I guess, a smaller school in high school and kind of like that whole feel, and you're in a private school, and then you go over here to Purdue, Big Ten school, football program? What was the transition like? Was it tough to be a student athlete? What were the practices like? Was there a transition there that kind of like was like, whoa, like we gotta get to college again? This is Division I football in the Big Ten.
Yeah. Welcome to the Big Ten. So in high school, my senior year, I was 6 foot 195. I was the 4th biggest kid on my team, including the entire offensive and defensive line. as a safety.
Wow.
So going into the Big Ten, it was like, this is Big Ten football. I'm a smaller guy on the field. So that was definitely an adjustment. The speed of the game is, of course, an adjustment, but the adjustment for everybody. I had a welcome to the Big Ten moment of like my first week in practice. I was on scout team, and I was scout kickoff return. So the starting kickoff team was going in scout kickoff return, and I was on the front line, had to run back 30 yards and then block the R3 head up, which the R3 is usually like a big dude that's going to run through a double team or something like that. I turn around, I go to block this dude, and he picks me up and throws me on my back. I think the first thing that hit was the back of my head. And I get up, you gotta get up fast, brush yourself off, get right back to it. But I was like, yo, this is the Big Ten. Welcome to the Big Ten. So definitely adjustment there. But I remember like I had a moment the very first week when like you practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Thursday is like 2 days before the game. And the captains got up in front of the team on Thursday, coaches out of the room, and just like gave a talk to the team. I remember sitting in the very back of the room and looking at the captains up front and just thinking like, that's going to be me. Like I wanted to be one of those guys. And I was prepared to put in the work in order to be one of those guys. And so out of the gate, just started putting in extra work. So we would, and like every team like does their schedule differently. Like this has changed, but we would have practice, and then we would go into like post-practice meetings. We go upstairs and we watch film for 20 minutes of practice. Then we come back down, like you grab your gear and go to the locker room. Well, instead of just like going to the locker room, I would pop my cleats back on and I would go do 20, 30 minutes of footwork. That is just trying to get that extra edge. Like everything you could do to get a little bit of that extra work in. That's what I was doing. And you definitely get like, some looks and people like laughing and chirping from the team, but it's like, I didn't care because I got nothing to lose. Like I'm already last, what are they going to do? Cut me? Like I'm already the last guy on the roster. So, just started like that. Just did as much work outside of that training as I possibly could and just never quit. We can get into like the full extended story of it, but like that was the mindset coming in. That's what I set foot out of the gate, and I just kept up with that. And it definitely like wasn't without setbacks. Had coaching changes, coaching obstacles, like political stuff with recruits and new coaches bringing in their players, and then a full coaching change, and so it's like completely starting off from zero. Tons of injuries, tons of surgeries, but it's just never quit, never stop, and just kept pushing.
No, there's so much right there that could be probably its own like story, right? About like all the things you just added at the end of it too. Coaching changes, new recruits coming in with the new coaching staff, and like just differences of opinion and so forth. Here's a question for you then. I'm sure, Jake, like going through all of that as a walk-on, you're trying to, you have these external pressures as an athlete. You mentioned something like, players are laughing at you. Players are probably making comments. There's a lot of players that are probably like, look at this cat, like trying to do this and trying to get a head up. Like what's he trying to do? Like, there's a lot of comments that are happening, but you still have to coexist with your team. There's differences of opinion with your coaches. You still have to coexist as a team and as a member and like respect them as an authoritative figure, and like there's a lot of those things. How do you navigate that? That's another thing I wanted to ask you. Like all of those things you were just talking about, new coaching change, it comes in new schemes, new recruits, the political side of it. How do you stay focused on the main thing amidst all the external pressures?
I always told myself, just focus on what I can control. There's so much outside of my control. Like everything you just listed is all stuff outside of my control. The only thing I can control is me, my mindset, my attitude, and the work I put in. Right. So it's like, if back to the like regret minimization, if I went through that process and I felt like I had gas left in the tank, like, oh, I could have gone a little bit harder. Like, oh, I could have worked harder. I could have, not goofed off, more. That eats at you. That regret just like eats at you from the inside, and it's the worst feeling in the world. And so I always just had the mindset of like, if I just give it everything I have, like it's going to shake out how it shakes out, but I know I'll be proud of myself because I gave everything. And so that was the mindset I had. Like there's a certain cap. Like you can only do so much physical work. You can only lift so much. You can only run so many sprints, like until your body breaks down. Like you have to recover at some point. You can watch endless amounts of film. So that was just kind of how I approached it. Was I'm just going to focus on what I can control. So every setback that came up, it was just like, okay, like this sets up a bigger comeback. This makes the story sweeter. This is what I'm going to say on a podcast someday or on a stage when I'm talking. Like I had that thought like back then, and like all those guys that were laughing like didn't have that mindset, and all those guys right now regret. A lot of those guys regret the career that they didn't have, and are jealous of the one I did. So, that will shake out like that. So to all the young guys, like that's the mindset that I want to encourage them to have.
I love that, man. That's awesome. It's easier said than done, but it's cool to hear people who've done it, like yourself. Like you see somebody, you'll hear about it. Oh yeah, like just focus on what you can do. But like seeing someone who's done it helps encourage those when they start going through it, because you don't know until you have to go through some of those things, like how hard it is to actually focus on that, like just controlling what you can control. But that's why I appreciate you sharing that, because you've been through it. It's like, I'm gonna go get the advice from someone who's actually done the thing. I'm not gonna take financial advice from someone who's broke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same concept. I'm not gonna take advice from athletes from somebody who doesn't understand the system.
100%. To give you like an example, like you nailed it. Like that's easier said than done. Like that's a very hard thing to do. To give an example, so like I joined the team in August. I did all that extra work through the fall. Winter comes around, I'm going hard. Like every extra opportunity I get. One day in February, we're doing some extra work on a Saturday. We're doing some one-on-ones. I break my foot surgery. I miss all of spring ball. The development time, the time the other guys get reps, I missed all. I didn't play in a single spring game my entire time at Purdue also. So missed every spring game due to injury. So missed the entire spring, get healthy, come back, get myself back in shape through the summer, come into fall camp. I'm ready. Like that's my redshirt freshman year at the time. So I'm like, let's go get some reps. I'm gonna take whatever I can get. My goal was I just want to get on a special team. I want to travel. Just want to get one special team. I want to travel. I'm sitting in the meeting room before the very first meeting of camp. Position coach walks in, pulls me off to the side. Hey, Jake, just want to let you know we got a lot of guys. You're not gonna get any reps in camp.
Man, dude.
Yeah, that was deflated. I was just like, oh, it was the worst feeling, because it was like it just felt like a whole year just wasted, just evaporated.
God. Yeah.
So was pretty down about that. But again, like, I talked to my dad about it at the time. It's just like all you can do is focus on what you can control. So I just kept at it and did the work again through the fall. Same thing in the off season. Spring comes around, but new position coach came in January. So that opens up a new opportunity. So spring ball was like fresh. Everyone was being freshly evaluated. We were also terrible at the time. So that helps with like, they're like, we're not winning with the starters, let's try out everybody else. So did really well, locked in that winter, insanely hard. Like that semester or that 8-week period was, there are times in your life when like you put yourself under like so much stress and you just have to execute, and then like that levels up your baseline level of execution. And like that was one of those where I made a big jump. Came into spring ball, had a really great spring. Heading into the week of the spring game, I was the second highest graded safety on the team, and then I break my other foot.
Oh my gosh!
And I missed the spring game. So that was surgery number. I had 9 surgeries in 5.5 years. So this is like a recurring theme. But again, it's just like you can't like fold, right? It's just every setup sets up a bigger comeback, or every setback sets up a bigger comeback. So got healthy, got ready for the fall, got on my first special team. That was my redshirt sophomore year. So I started on one special team. Game 3, I was added to the second special team. Game 4, I was added to the third special team. Then in that game, we got blown out by Maryland. I got to play the whole fourth quarter, made 4 tackles. So that was huge. Started subbing in, rotating on defense. Halfway through the season, I'm on all 4 special teams, and I'm the number 2 safety, like second string safety. And I'm rotating here and there. Later in the season, I had this weird, like I got a scar on my neck here because I had to get a sunspot that removed that ended up being skin cancer, and it came back. And so like on a Monday, I got another quarter-sized chunk removed from my neck. They stitched it up, and then I played that Saturday because I was like, I cannot afford. This has been 2 years already into this. I've already come up with 2 surgeries already. And I just broke through. I'm just starting to play, so I can't afford to miss any time. And so that Saturday, it was a Northwestern game. I played the most defense I'd ever played, almost half the game, 4 tackles and a pass breakup. And it was incredible. I played literally 9 stitches in my nest, had a ski mask on to protect like the bandages. That set me up because I played the next 2 weeks. And then the final game of the year was my first start against IU, which is a rivalry game. And I had my first career interception.
Oh, wow.
The procedure for my neck was typically around 4 to 6 weeks. So if I would have listened to them and sat out, I would have missed that opportunity to start and get my interception.
Yeah.
But it's like, unacceptable. So that was the first 3 years. And then I got up to that first start, first interception. I was like, all right, scholarship's coming. But halfway through that season, they had fired the entire staff. So they're not giving scholarships to any walk-ons at that point. So entire new staff, we start over again from the bottom. New staff comes in. Safeties coach meets with me first time. He says, I don't think you're good enough to start on this team. We're going to bring in another guy. And they did. They brought another highly recruited 4-star athlete to play my position. Told him he was going to be the starter. And so nothing to do at that point but focus on what you can control. That's it. So I just locked in, worked even harder. Spring ball, 5th practice, we're doing a little scrimmage. I tackle a guy comes in, puts his helmet on my hand, and I feel a little pop, and I'm playing with my hand. I'm like, why does my hand hurt so much? Go over to the doctor on the sideline. He grabs the bone, wiggles it. He's like, your hand is broken. So that was my 4th surgery, counting my neck. Plate and 7 screws in my hand. I'm out for 2 weeks, and then they put a claw on it, and I returned to practice. Return to practice. That practice for a week. That Saturday is like the scrimmage the week before the spring game. And I was the second string safety. I rotated with the ones on one drive. They're driving. Ball, they throw a ball on a fade. We're playing cover 3, so I'm running from the middle over. Ball gets tipped up. I dive for the interception. Catch the interception, land on my side, break my collarbone.
Oh my gosh, dude.
So that was surgery number 5 in my first 3 years. Plate and 12 screws. And so now at that point I'm up to 2 plates, 21 screws, 5 surgeries in 3 years.
My gosh, dude. This is
yeah.
crazy. That's crazy.
Nuts. I recover, get ready for work all summer. Basically, I'm coming in because it's like do or die. Basically, like it's me versus this other guy. We have the same amount of eligibility left. Like I have 2 more years of eligibility. There's no COVID year. There's none of this 6th and 7th year BS that they got going on right now. No 29-year-old college students. But so this was it. If I get beat out, that's the rest of my career. So I come in camp ready. Second day of camp, I get 2 picks. Third day of camp, they name me the starter. End of camp, they give me my scholarship.
Wow.
I was pumped, dude. I was pumped.
How did that feel, Jake, when you got your scholarship after everything you just mentioned right there with all the ups and downs? How did that feel when they gave you the scholarship?
To be honest, at the time that I got it, like it felt good. I'm not gonna lie. Like it felt incredible to get it. I was like, yes, I finally got it. But like by the time I got it, I already knew I deserved it and should have gotten it already. So it was kind of like the times kind of passed like that. Like I brushed over it, but like I was very, very frustrated and very furious in that time frame. So it was incredible. I was super grateful. It was very pumped, just like affirmed all the work. But it wasn't like the finally kind of moment. It was like, yeah, it's about time.
Yeah, long time coming. Kind of like that mentality. I got you. Makes sense though, given what you had gone through. Do you have a favorite memory in college, like of any school you played for? Like if you look behind, where is that right here? I'm a Buckeyes fan. I'm a Boise State grad, so I'm a Bronco, but surprisingly enough, I'm a Buckeyes fan. I know you don't want to hear that, but I've been a Boise.
Yeah, you might not want to hear this then. Because I'll start. I have an individual moment for me, and then I have a team moment.
Let's hear it.
The individual moment was that season. So I got my scholarship. My reward for getting the scholarship was I get to start the first game in Lucas Oil Stadium against Louisville, against Lamar Jackson, coming off of his Heisman season. So the whole time we're watching his Heisman highlights, 2016 Lamar Jackson highlights, legendary video, and that's reward. So I'm like, let's not get our ankles broken in the open field. We play that season. We go to a bowl game that year. We're battling the bowl game. Ends up that we're up by 3 points late in the game. They're driving to try and take the score to win the game, and I get the game sealing interception to close it out. So that was a cool kind of cap moment on that season of scholarship. That was probably individual moment. That was a pretty hype moment.
Oh, yeah.
Team moment though. If you're a Buckeye fan, you'll probably remember this one. So the 2018 season, Buckeyes are undefeated. They're going for a national championship. They've got the squad, and they made the mistake of coming to West Lafayette late in October on a cold October night. And at the time we were on a little bit of a win streak. We started off 0-3, then we won 3 straight. So we're 3-3, but we had a ton of momentum. Also at the time, we had Tyler Trent, who was a Purdue student at the time. He was battling cancer, and he was a Purdue super fan, dude. And so it was, he was in and around the facility, he was around the team, and so it just gave all of us a lot of perspective on what life is. It's very easy as a football player to forget, you're playing a game. You're playing a game for entertainment, right? You're playing a child's game. So, and that's supposed to be fun. But in the midst of all the theatricality around it and all the showmanship that goes into it, you sometimes forget that. But seeing Tyler being such an example of he's literally fighting for his life, but he had the most positive kid ever, smile on his face, he's just so unbelievably inspiring. It just it gave everyone perspective and made everyone feel grateful for the moment. And so most teams, when they're when they're the level that we were at the time, which is we were a good team, but we weren't a top 10 team. When you're going to play a number 2 Ohio State, most teams yeah, hey, this is gonna be a rough one. It was no, we went into that game ready to go. We went in ready to win that game. Every single person on the team, we went into that week prepared to win that game. And so on Saturday evening, prime time, national television, ESPN, we whooped their ass 49-20. And that was one of the most legendary moments I've ever experienced in all college football.
It's so crazy talking to you about that and hearing from the player's perspective. I know exactly where I was. I actually was in Utah at the time. And I remember where I was, what restaurant I was in when we were watching it, how I just couldn't believe. I'm here's another one blowout for Ohio State. But hearing it from the player's perspective on the other side, it seems like that was kind of you guys were prepared for a variety of reasons. And that's pretty cool, actually. You guys derailed that season. And sometimes in athletics, that's what you're going for sometimes. But I just remember, it was a complete whooping, dude. There wasn't even you guys just had every counter to every single thing. And it's so cool to talk to somebody who was actually there. As much as I might have hated you at the time, I didn't even know you. Now I think it's super cool, dude. That's so dope. So Jake, the same question I had for you when I was talking about the high school to the transition to college, I want to know, was this the same mentality of hey, regret minimalization, where you wanted to go to the professional level and just give it a shot and stuff? Or did you have a moment where you're okay, I can play in the pros? I want to know kind of your thought process of going to the professional level and what the experience was like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I walked on, I was I'm going to give it my all, see how it shakes out. If I end up playing special teams, I gave it everything I had. That's cool. And then you just little by little, you keep getting better, keep improving. The goalposts keep moving with every, step up. And so once I started playing, then, there were guys on the team that I was playing against that were getting shots. And then I was oh, well, if they're getting an opportunity, I'm probably going to get an opportunity. Then my position coach said, yeah, you're going to get an opportunity. And I was whoa, that's, I just didn't even, that wasn't even something I registered. I was just focusing on what's in front of me. I just have to make this team first. And then that's an afterthought. And then that became a real opportunity. And so I was we're going for it. Let's shake what happens. I was also like super confident because I was like, well, I came in here and went from the bottom to the top. Like, let's just go do that again, right? So
Yeah.
that was kind of the mindset I had going into it. The journey was very interesting, with just like late in that season, like 2 weeks after that Ohio State game, I got really sick and I spent 6 days in the ICU, which is that's a whole story in itself, which we can get into if you want. But I spent 6 days in the ICU. I missed the rest of the regular season. I lost 20 pounds. I was on my deathbed. Like doctor was straight up like, you were hours away from dying. Didn't, thankfully. And then I was on antibiotics after I got out. And so basically once I got cleared to go, I had 4 weeks to get healthy before the bowl game, which would be like, I didn't know what the NFL was going to hold. So that was going to be like my last college football game, potentially the last game ever. Well, then like our pro day was the first pro day because the combine's in Indianapolis and then they just drive up to Purdue the day after to do pro day. And so even if there's that last bowl game and then 8 weeks later is pro day. So I have 4 weeks to get ready for that game. And then I only have 8 weeks to get ready for pro day. Pro day I have to crush because it's like the tryout. And so like that was another one of those times where it's just like backs against the wall and I have no other option but to focus on what I can control and just go all in, give it everything I have. So I did it. I played in the bowl game. I barely played in that bowl game, but I did. And I got ready for pro day. I crushed pro day. For me, I crushed pro day. Was very happy with how it shook out and ended up getting an opportunity with the New York Giants. I was a fringe guy, maybe a 6th, 7th round pick or, priority free agent. Late in the draft, like 6th, 7th round, we started talking to a couple teams and it looked like it was going to be priority free agent. So we had a couple teams that were interested. Giants ended up being the best opportunity. And so we took that one. And so I had like a verbal agreement, like before the draft ended, and then draft ends, we get it. And then, celebrate with the family and all that. So that was cool. Then I fly out to New York, have rookie minicamp, first day of rookie minicamp, flying around, having fun. And I tear my meniscus.
Oh my
First day.
gosh.
Yeah. Not ideal at all. So they initially said, because like meniscus is not a serious knee injury, right? Like
Right.
knee injuries are never fun, but like if you're gonna have any of them, it's like that's kind of what you want. So like 6-week recovery typically, and like you're good to go. So I was gonna be fine for camp. They initially said you're good, don't worry about it. Like heal up, get ready for camp, you'll be fine. Week later, they clipped me. So we were like, yeah, see you later. So that was unfortunate. But I go home, I heal up, get healthy again, get ready to go, ready for a workout. I work out for the Jags and the Falcons. I don't get signed. I work out for the Colts, which I'm from Indianapolis. So like Colts was hometown team, and I grew up a Colts fan. So I was like, that was pretty sweet. I work out for the Colts. They don't sign me after the workout, but then a week later they call me back and they sign me. But it was the last week of training camp. So like they basically brought me in as a body for that last preseason game. So like I got signed on Monday, played on a preseason game that Thursday, and then I got cut on Friday. So I was a Colt for 5 days.
Oh.
But I played a preseason game for the team that I grew up cheering for, and like I made it there. Like the moral of the story, like I'm not the person to look at if like I had like crazy an NFL career or anything like that. But it's like it's the fact that I got there.
Yeah.
From like everything that overcame all the way. And there's like 2 surgeries I didn't even talk about. Like I said, there's 9 surgeries in 5 years. So just like everything I overcome to get there, just the opportunity to have played a preseason game is like something that I'm pretty proud of. And I got the jersey hung up in my bedroom too. So that was pretty cool.
As you should, dude. Like you should be proud of that. You should have your jersey up hanging. Like that's dope. I think that's freaking cool, man. That's a crazy, given everything, the fact that you even were able to make it just shows how you work hard. You're obviously skilled because of that, and your mindset. I think the mindset's probably the biggest thing I'm taking away from this interview so far. Just your mindset was just a never give up attitude. But Jake, at what point did you know? Was it then, or when did you know that it was time to hang it up on the cleat side and kind of transition and take those skill sets that you learned from your athletics career into the next phase of your life?
So that wasn't the last NFL team. So I got cut from the Colts, and didn't know what was going on. Was free agent, and then beginning of December. So that was like end of August. December comes around. I get a call from the Bengals, or there was a workout with the Browns in there, but I didn't get signed. And then I got a call from the Bengals. There's like 4 or 5 weeks left in the season. The Bengals are one of the worst teams in football. They are not going to the playoffs. And then 30 minutes later, I get a call from the Niners. The Niners are one of the best teams in football, and they are definitely going to playoffs. So not a hard decision on which workout I go to there. I went to the Niners and flew out west, did the workout. They liked me and they signed me. And so I was on the practice squad for the 49ers. That was in the 2019 season. And so we ended up going to the Super Bowl that year. And so I rode out the rest of that year with them and went to the Super Bowl down in Miami, which was an unbelievable experience. Like literally, like everything as a kid, like growing up, like everything you could dream about, like it was unreal. Unfortunately, didn't get the W due to Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs that year, but got an NFC Championship ring out of it, and just stories that I'll take with me for a lifetime. So,
Oh, I'm sure, man. I'm
yeah.
sure. So with the Niners, during that group of individuals, that's a very high level team. Very, very good talent. Who was probably one of the better, like I guess one of your favorite athletes to be around with that Niners squad during the end of that season and that run that you guys went on?
So I play safety, right? And so corners and safeties are together. So Richard Sherman was like the leader of our room, Uncle Sherman, shout out. Dude, just unbelievable dude, unbelievable human. Was super, super friendly, super welcoming. And it was like, dude, I grew up watching this guy in high school, man, like Legion of Boom. I was like, oh my gosh, like it was crazy. So just outstanding leader. I learned a lot from him. It was just incredible dude to be around. So he was someone that stood out quite a bit. George Kittle was someone like we had the Big Ten connection. So he was an outstanding dude. Kyle Juszczyk, outstanding dude. Just a lot of really good dudes on that team. So Raheem Mostert was a Purdue teammate of mine. He was on the squad as well. So just a lot of really good dudes on that squad.
God, that's crazy. Just naming some of those guys off. You got to compete with them. That's freaking awesome, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's super cool. So Jake, as you transitioned out of the football career and you go all like into the professional world of things, this is where I kind of want to talk about what you're up to now, right? And how you're helping people now, especially on the fitness side of things, and like talk about that a little bit. Let's dive into what you're up to now.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to set the stage for why I got into it and what the focus is.
Please do.
So, I talk about this football journey and going all in on yourself, betting on yourself. Football to me was everything. Like it was a part of me. It was to my core. It was who I was. It was my complete identity. It was Jake, the football player. So when that ended, it wasn't just like a job that you lost or something like that. It was like I am no longer me. I'm no longer myself, which made the transition to life after sports unbelievably difficult. Everybody has like a little bit. The transition is different for everybody, but for me personally, because of how much it meant to me and everything I went through, it was brutal. It was absolutely brutal. So had several years of just like figuring it out, what to do, and I got out of shape. I was depressed. I didn't know what to do. I was trying to figure out what to do for work. Like nothing was. It felt like nothing was going right. There was definitely a while that I wasn't proud of my football career. I wasn't proud of myself, and there was definitely there were multiple years. Like I remember I had all of my 49ers gear, Super Bowl jerseys, the rings, all of it was just like in a box in the corner. Like I didn't even have it out. I didn't want to look at it. And there was like times like I wish I hadn't played football at all because of how terrible I felt after. I was like, if I didn't play football at all, I wouldn't have to feel this terrible. And like that's pretty bad, right? So
yeah, it's terrible.
It's tough. I mean, it is what it is. It was a tough transition, but eventually, like again, just didn't stop. Just focused on what I could control. Took one step at a time. Eventually, made that transition. My brother Brennan was a huge instrumental part of that, and we're partnered on everything that we do. So like very grateful for him and the rest of my family. Like they were super helpful through that process. So definitely not an enjoyable experience. But that kind of parlayed into what I'm doing now. So I had my own transition of like getting out of shape and then like rediscovering fitness after football and then getting back into shape. Because when you're a football player, like you have the schedule of like the season and the off season and the weekly workouts. You have the structure of the team. You have the coaching staff. You have the locker room. There's a competition in your position group on the team. You want to be the best team as possible, and then you're playing against other guys. So there's just like multiple layers of competition, and then it's like you want to show out for the respective admiration of those around you, your peers, the fans, and everything else like that. So there's just so much that goes into that. That is why you're competing to be the best person possible. You get out and you're completely on your own. You don't have any of that around you. You're just alone. And for most guys, like the goal goes from like being the best athlete you can be for all those reasons I listed to like, I just want to look good with my shirt off. And that's a totally different thing. Totally different style of training, totally just different approach. And so, like I said, like I got out of shape and then I got back in shape. And then I found out like I was yo-yoing. So I got a trip coming up, going to the beach. Cool. I'm going to go super hard for 8 weeks, look good for my shirt off. And then like I would just not step in the gym for 2 months after that. And like that went on for 3 years.
Yeah.
So because of that, I eventually like you talk about the mindset, right? That go all in mindset. Like I lost that too. I lost that fire, that drive, that like just tenacity of I'm just going to go get it. I lost that and I hated it. I hated not having that. And so I rediscovered it and, lit that fire up back inside me. And I was like, there's an opportunity here. Like I want to help other guys with that. And so that led to founding All In Performance with my brother. And like we named it All In Performance for that exact reason of like just going all in on yourself, going all in to be the best version of yourself. Like, what would you do if you knew that you couldn't fail? You do absolutely anything, right? Well, when in life you have unlimited chance, outside of football, there's a time frame with that, but you have unlimited chances to do anything. So it's either you win or you learn and you keep getting better. You only lose, you only fail when you quit. And so that was the mindset we came into it with. And we launched that last year, just around this time. We've been a year into it. We're a fitness coaching company. So we are focused on fitness. We're also focused on the mindset around it, specifically with helping former athletes kind of rediscover that with the transition after football. A lot of guys, the transition is different from everybody, but a lot of guys, they get a plan, they get a job, and they go into their career, and it's pretty smooth. But then, they get a new career, they're stuck behind a desk. Add a wife, add family, add kids, add additional responsibilities, and then like fitness just becomes an afterthought, and a lot of guys get out of shape because of it. And that's ranging ages from like late 20s up to late 50s. So it's been a cool year running this. It's been a lot of fun, and we're super excited for the future with where we're at right now.
I love the purpose behind it. I love what the mission is. I think there's so many people who can relate to that, like even myself, who I never played at a high level like you guys, but just I was talking to the guys that I work with, right? I'm a marketing director for my full-time work, and I got a lot of guys that are in their their early 20s. I'm in my late 30s. And so I'm talking to them. I showed them a picture today, Jake. Literally today I was talking, I'm like, there was a time when your boy was actually shredded. And I showed him my picture, like, holy crap, was that natty? And I'm like, yeah, I was natty. I was just putting in work in the gym, but that was before kids. That was before, like, I wasn't done with college yet. I was doing this. And I'm like, I got stuff going on, and I've just kind of put some of that stuff. I run, but I don't lift like I used to. Like it's a problem. And so even people like me, we fall into that, like we got the day-to-day stresses, like life hits you. And so like I could use something like this, and I wasn't even a high level athlete. You know what I mean? I could use something like this to kind of get my mindset right back, like, back on track. And so I love what you guys are doing. I would ask, like, what do you notice? I've seen a lot of former athletes that come out and they still want some competitive form of fitness in some way. So some of them will go and try to run a marathon because they never did long distance running. And then some of them will go into CrossFit because it's more of a competitive style just to keep the competitive juices flowing. Do you see that happening in your guys' work where like these former athletes or high level performers are wanting some sort of competition, or is it mainly just like, I just want to, like you said, look good with my shirt off?
100%. It's a mix. It ranges. To your specific scenario that you just mentioned, that's something we see a lot. Like we've had a lot of guys that were just played at different levels. It could be high school, it could be college, it could be pro. But like one guy in particular, like he's a high level executive now, and in college he was a Hall of Fame basketball player, but he didn't look like it. And his kids are starting to get to that, young teen kind of stage. So he's like playing sports with them, and everything, and telling them about what he was. They didn't believe him.
Yeah.
It's like that was tough. That's a tough pill to swallow. So he's like, I want to be able to compete with my kids, and we're on the beach, and I want him to look at me like the athlete that I was. So that's a big thing for a lot of people. What you said is like it's absolutely true. You got to find something. You got to find like whatever it is, like whatever your thing is going to be. It could be marathons. It could be CrossFit. It could just be some sort of competitive sports league. It could be like I love pickleball. That's where I get some of the competitiveness out. Or like beach volleyball is something else I do. So like you just got to find like what your thing is going to be, and find where an outlet for that competitive edge. A lot of guys get that in the business world or in their career. And so that's where they still have that outlet for the competitiveness. It's just not tied to anything physical. And that's why the fitness just becomes an afterthought. So then that's where
that's a good point,
we just have to jumpstart. We just have to jumpstart the fitness side of it. And so that was something we were working on for the last year of like, how do we incorporate my brother and I were talking about this. And my brother's also got a like comically similar story to me of like the walk on and everything like that. We played together at Purdue. So like that Ohio State game, we were playing together.
That's so sick.
We've combined on tackles. Like there was one week we beat Illinois, and like we were both the safeties, like defense players of the week for PFF. So there's some really cool stories there. But over the last year working together on this, we were trying to incorporate like how can we incorporate that competitive aspect and bring that out. And so what we came up with, which we literally launched 15 days ago on September 2nd, was the free 41-day all-in challenge. 41 for is number 41. And it's also one day less than 6 weeks. So we incorporated some of that into it and create a competitive element with it, because it is a win your money back challenge. That's how you make the challenge free. So we talked about the mindset. Go all in, bet on yourself, literally bet some money on yourself. And if you hit your goal or you meet, the list of criteria that we lay out for you, you get to win your money back. And so that is something that kind of jumpstarts that mindset again and gets those competitive juices flowing and gets people over the hump of getting that fitness journey started. So it's been 2 weeks since we launched that, and the feedback that we've been getting and like talking to former athletes and messaging and calls and the people that we've already signed into the challenge has been phenomenal. So we're really excited about where that's going to go.
Is that 41-day challenge something that lives on evergreen, where it's like they start the 41 days from the time they sign up, or is it something that like you're doing it in batches of like every certain amount of weeks you'll start a new one and a new one and a new one?
Yeah, so we do it cohort based. So there are limited spots. So at the beginning of each month, we open up a fresh like number of spots. So like September 1, September 2nd, we opened up with 10 spots. We already have 5 of those filled. So we got 5 more. And like at the time of filming this, I think that we're looking to fill those by the end of this week. And then like once those 10 spots are filled for September's closed. And then October 1, we'll open up more spots. We'll probably open up 15 for October. And then the beginning of each month, we'll open up a certain number of spots. Once those get filled, it's closed. And then the next month we open up new ones. Now, depending on which day you join, like your 41 days starts from the time you sign up.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. I like the cohort base. I like the marketing tag. So I'm in the marketing world. I spent 6.5 years with Russell Brunson. I don't know if you've ever heard of the guy, but
oh my gosh, how can you not hear Russell Brunson, man?
Yeah,
the
so
OG.
I worked for him for 6.5 years. I ran one of his challenges for 6 years called the One Funnel Away Challenge. So when you're talking cohorts and everything, I'm like, dude, this is Russell's talk to me. Like I'm listening to all the marketing stuff. I love what you guys are doing, man. I love how you have it set up. And I love that you're driving, like that's your way of solving a problem. This is a marketer in me. Is like you're solving a problem and also allowing them to compete in a competitive setting and like win your money back. It makes it free. Like I love all of that, dude. I think it's so cool what you guys are doing. I'm geeking out about it. Freaking dope, dude.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
So sick, Jake. So if people are interested, my last question was in regards to all-in performance. Let's say they don't want to do the challenge, but they do want to take advantage of your guys' services, and maybe they want some training or some help and assistance. How do they get a hold of you guys? Can they do it remotely? Do you do training online, or is it like solely like, do you guys have a community? How is it all set up if somebody wants to pay you for your services?
Oh yeah, we're online coaching. So we work with anybody wherever you are. We literally have a client that is based out of Honduras, and then he's been traveling all over Central and South America. He hiked a volcano one day, and traveling, living the island life, being social, going out, eating out, still making incredible progress. So like, regardless of your situation, where you're at, what it looks like, we can help anybody that's looking for it.
That's so cool. And do you guys have a website that I can put here in the description to show people so that they can take advantage?
Best way to get in touch with me is going to be my Instagram. So my Instagram handle is at Jake.Thieneman, which is just my last name, Thieneman. That's going to be the best way to reach out. Just shoot me a DM on there. I've got a keyword in there. Just DM me all in, and we can talk. We can chat. Tons of content on my page about anything you'd be curious about. So yeah, Instagram is the best way to get in touch.
I can attest to that. Like, I got a hold of you via Instagram. Granted, it was for a podcast. I was actually surprised to hear back from you. I thought that was pretty cool. I commend you for that. I will say your Instagram page, I just started following it probably like a week or two ago, but I have seen your content, because once I liked one of your posts or whatever, it came through. I got like 2 or 3 of the posts in my feed, and then I was fed a couple more things. Then I went down the rabbit hole of like just watching the stuff on your page. It's actually really, really cool. A lot of the stuff you've shared in the story here, but you have a lot of other stories that you have in there. That ICU story, I'll probably just go watch the video. I think you pinned it to the top of your page, if I'm not, or it's near the top or something. I wasn't sure if that was a new video or if it was just at the top, but there's a lot of good content on there, dude. So I'm going to encourage everyone. Yeah, go follow him. I'll put your link here to the Instagram page here so they can check it out. But I really hope that the listeners here can take something away from this and realize, like, hey, we can go work with somebody who's been there, somebody who gets it, somebody who understands, not just you, but your brother as well. That's the coolest part about it, dude. And then like, yeah, I can't wait to see the growth of what you guys are doing. So, would there be any other things you would want to touch base on, Jake, in regards to the business, and what you're running over there with your brother?
I mean, I think we covered most of it. Just look, man, if you're ready to change, you're ready to get in shape, you want to kind of rediscover that fire, that, love for fitness. You want to jumpstart the process, hit us up. Let's talk about it.
I dig it, man. I dig it. All right, brother. Well, I appreciate your time, man. I really appreciate you taking and adjusting your schedule around the evening for you guys. It's late, and I know that you're really, really busy. So I want to say thank you. But before I close, I want to ask you one last question, and that is, what is the biggest life lesson that sports and fitness have taught you?
Go all in. Bet on yourself. That's
Simple.
it. That's it. Yeah. Well, like literally. So everything we've talked about, you win or you learn. You only lose when you quit. So if you want to achieve something, you can achieve anything that you dream, as long as you are willing to put in the work for it. So you only lose when you quit. So if you knew that you couldn't fail at something, what would you do? You'd go all in.
I dig it, brother. I appreciate it, Jake. I really want to ask, like, everybody who's tuned in, I hope you've taken notes. You can always go back and listen to this recording. I hope you guys check out Jake's page. Go check out his business. If you need his help, hit him up in the DMs. And as always, make sure to hit that subscribe button here on the podcast, because we'll be coming to you next week with another interview. Take care. Guys, thanks so much for listening to another episode of my show. Now, if you could go and do me a favor, head over to iTunes, give me 5 stars, and leave me a review, it would be greatly appreciated. Thanks, guys. Appreciate your support.